Cheers. This is going to be the first episode of Bongversations with Rick over from the Truth Meats. And just so you know, I have nothing to do with truthmeats.com and or Fakeologist. I am just a voice who is currently banned from both platforms. However, Rick and I record this show on my Discord, which you're welcome to join. I'll leave a link to that as well. And that is open for anyone to go in and take a look around. This is going to be covering the number 1 and 2 and a few other things, looking at tie-ins to movies and to stories and to lore and to things like that. Each show is going to be an hour or a little bit more, and you're welcome to leave comments or questions and whatnot down below, and I'll get to them. Otherwise, let me go ahead and just take a quick toke here.
Oh, hey, Dave.
Hey, cheers, Pompo. Pompo is also helping to produce the show.
Oh, yeah, man.
So enjoy. That's all I can say is enjoy, or don't enjoy. It's up to you. It's choice, free will, and all that good stuff. Be blessed, and on with the show.
Good evening, good day, good morning, whatever your time is. This is the first of our Bongversations, Bongversations, whatever. With the incredible knowledge of numbers and all sorts of incredible things. DaveJ, the most, what would he call him, the most hard-hitting of the lot of them out there. He's been around for many years. You all know him if you've been on the Fakeologist Network. You all know him if you've been on... you've listened to CNN ever? He was there exposing the Joe Bonnet Ramsey thing on a big news show on Fox, I do believe. So he's a very well-known person, and I bow before him in his knowledge of numbers and colours and vibration and tones. He's absolutely font in there. And here is Dave. Welcome to Bongversations with DaveJ and
Bongversations.
It's
you know what? We don't want to upset John LeBong or Bon with the Bong.
I think he'll be pleased with just mention. But I thought, because I remember hearing the name of his thing, and I thought that's a stupid sound. But why not call it Bongversations and talk about colours and pop?
Yeah, the best one he had was number 8, by the way, which was one yours truly was on. Where I talked about colors, tones, tunes, and all that good stuff, just so happens to be exactly what we talked about.
Fantastic. Yeah. Now, I thought for our very first show on truthmeats.com that we discussed the number 1 show, and this will be the first of a few, I hope, and many hope even better. We'll talk about the number 1, the monad, and what your interpretation and meaning of is one of the more powerful numbers. Would it be number 1, or is?
The one in and of itself is all the others. So the 1 is a combination of all the others.
Fantastic.
From the get go. So then what it is then is you're just and I was talking with Linda earlier today about this, to where when you're looking at the 1, you're looking at it from above. But if you lay that number 1, if you crack it open and you lay it across the table left to right, you spill it out to the 1 return, which would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 0 return. So that's kind of that's a complete thought. So then the 1 is good or it's evil. It's one or the other. So when you pick that 1 up, it's the idea of this is the one I'm going to pick up. And now as you pick it up and you show concern, which is 2, you then fall into it. You see, you have to spend time with it. So if it's a lie, you've wasted your time. If it's a truth, you've learned something, and you put that away, and you never forget that. So then the next time you walk out into the world, all of those truths that you've now stood on, foundation stones, you now present yourself to the world as that. Therefore, you're no longer standing at the level of the lowest common denominator. You've moved past that. You know that, you know what, you know the nature of this, you know the nature of that, you know the nature of this. So you're standing above above the noise of the mass, you know, of the crowd.
Yeah.
So you're able to look around and notice intent, which is the root of all of this, because it's like the I am is the
I
result
am.
of intent. So I
Yeah.
am what? What is your intent? I am what? I am
Yeah.
this, I am that. So
It's
that
a very,
is,
isn't it very Masonic that I am is that's incredibly part of their deep level, you know, their Mason type thing, or is it more?
yeah.
Was it ancient, more ancient?
Well, no, all of that's kind of here and there, because it just means what it means right now today to you and me.
Mm.
So the idea of what I am means today is, what are you? What is it that you go out each day professing to? What is it that your mouth bears witness to? That is the I am. So when someone says, this person said this, they are saying that because they heard it from your mouth. Therefore, they're like, this person said that. That is how then assignments are made to who said what. That is why it's best to be found quiet instead of being found a babbler or a fibber or someone who's just talking to be heard.
Mm.
You know.
So they say God is a mathematician. All of these this mathematical program that we've got in our heads, or our whole bodies are in mind, is an incredibly complex thing that a lot of it we couldn't even discover, we couldn't comprehend until we invented computers, and fractals started getting recognised as being, there's no such thing as chaos. Chaos, you add more chaos and it forms amazing patterns. But to start with one is the most simple of all the numbers, that it's the I am, it's you, the solitary person. Yeah.
So then it's also the solitary thought or idea cast of offering you a new story or something else. That is the one. There is an event, and then everything about that event will be detailed, which is how you fall into the eights, because that's the idea of being eaten up or ate up by the details, the devil in the details.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the idea of words and tone is that if it sounds like that, it is that, right?
Yeah.
So if you say 8, not only is it the number 8, yeah.
Tone encodes one anyway, doesn't it? With the T, the cross, and the one afterwards.
Right.
By coincidence. No coincidence. No coincidence.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I was also wanting to tell you this, that if you think one, therefore I am one, right? So you say, what is one then? Well, one is someone who knows this or knows that or has done that, or one is someone who, in the opposite, has not done this, has not done that. So then it's a self-realization of, like your self-reflection. Have you done everything that you need to do to know the truth of the matter? Because the only reason somebody should say they don't know is that they've gone out and they've done all the work possible for them to do, and they for some reason still can't come to the matter of fact.
To be at peace with one's self.
Right.
To be at peace with one's self. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's so you don't confuse it, because it's kind of like that is the one, because 2 immediately goes into concern, because 1 + 2 is 3. Do you see how as soon as you start the motion, as soon as you start the thought in motion, 1 + 2 is 3. The 4 is the door. Do you see how, because the 1 keeps reflecting off, so the 1 reflects off the 2 becomes 3. The 1 reflects off the 3 becomes 4. All right.
Yeah.
And then you keep adding the one, and that's how it keeps kind of. If you notice when I did the 4 into 1 kind of CERN machine, to where I ran those, you will see that the sine wave is an illustration of that captured energy. All right. Between
this is your. So you've done illustrations of these,
right,
which are frighteningly. It's amazing how similar that how you've described these things is I found that book on by Annie Besant called Thought Forms, and the really, really, really old book, but it's the same thing. It's the
it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. So it's like because once you see the truth, that's all you can do is describe it. And everyone else before you who saw it, because many people have seen it before. This is nothing's new. So many people have seen this and they've just been dismissed or whatever else. And they've written it down. And you've read some of it, obviously, but they're going to describe the same exact truth because that's all you can do. Because if you described it some other way, it wouldn't be true. It would. Do you see? So then it's like once I'm describing something and someone else is describing something, and you go out and you test it, and then you find it to be that. That now is what you've done. Now that's your work. It's not mine or the other guys, and it's not even yours. It's just the truth. You observed it. Therefore, the next thing you can do is say, if you want to see the truth, observe it this way, and then let them test it or not. It's because you can't force somebody to see it, and when they're ready, they'll see it. But until they're
when you spell the word one, O-N-E, it's a circle, and all civilizations apparently the point within a circle was Egyptian, Chinese, Mayan, all had that same. That was the logo for light, the circle with a dot in it. That was their glyph. For a common language before languages all got scattered.
And so it's also an anagram, speaking of scattered language, for Neo.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
So it's all that always kind of being shown just in a reflected way. Because I wanted to talk to you about what you had mentioned before about how the idea of an untruth becomes like a shattered reflection. That's kind of what I got from what you said. However, when you're dealing with a mirror or let's say a mirrored surface or a hologram specifically, which is a thought because it's in all dimensions. Therefore, if you see a kaleidoscope, or let's just say the idea of a broken mirror, the idea of the deception. Each piece of that hologram, even right now in this physical realm, if you get a piece of that single piece, that one contains the whole, meaning that you can rebuild that hologram from that single shattered piece because each piece holds the whole. So that's a physical representation of the spiritual idea I just told you about. So that's it's a viewable, provable point within the physical realm.
What did Jesus say? I am the way. I am. So that encodes that.
And also Revelation 3:11, that idea of Corona. Behold, I am coming quickly. Hold fast what you have, that no one may take your crown. Your crown is your mind. So therefore, so you let no one take your mind. Let no one take you
which
down
is the enemy, and that's what we were discussing this last night. There's fear and the loss of your identity and who you are, and you become someone else, and you don't want to be someone else. You need to be you, and you need to learn to be comfortable with you. But they're splitting us with TV, imagery, music, sports, religions. We lose our identity, but at the end of the day, the simple Christian message, I am. Anyway, sorry, I was digressing there.
No, very good.
I'll just go to my book saying compliment from DaveJ. There you go. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Good, and it's finally good to speak to you after many moons. Many moons, literally.
It has been.
Interesting, moon's got two zeros in it as well. Moon has that same, and it kind of encompasses one as well. The monad moon, whatever. But so keep going. Your thoughts on the one, and so you're bringing this.
We're really ready to move to two. Actually, I mean the one.
Okay, we can go
because
for it.
It's really just that is what it is.
Well, one's pretty simple, isn't it? It's just
and then
stick.
two is Well, yeah, and then 2 is the idea of concern. So if you have 1 point,
The
you
dyad.
can't go
The
anywhere. There's no
dyad.
place to go. Yeah. The
Excellent.
second point allows a point of focus. Therefore, you go from 1 to 2. Now, once you get, of course, now 1 plus 2 equals 3. However, the 3 or the third point has not been formed yet.
Until
This
the
is
two
going to be-
circles move into each other.
Yeah. So you're moving into the idea of how a thought is formed and how it moves through the mind. So you have to slow down time. And you have to think about it. The 1 goes into the 2, which is, okay, you see something. I'm going to now show concern for it. That's now you don't know really what it is, but you have a concern for it. Something's grabbed your attention. Now then, once you realize what it is, guess what? 1, 2, 3. Ring. The first ring is made. All right.
Yep.
And that would be the 3. Of course, spoiler alert, this leads into the 3, 6, 9 idea. But then the 3 is where you have your first ring, which is where the first place where there can be a containment made, meaning that you've recognized the idea, you know what they're saying to you, whatever that story is, whether it be true or false, and then now you are ready to either bring it into your mind through the door, the dalet, the 4, or you are going to leave it be, which is just toss it away, which is the idea of the 33. Which is the idea of tossing it away. So you can see if they get you, or if they bait you into eating those false 33s, you're literally falling for a trap, a bear trap.
Yes, I do think that the fact that they dump this number on us continuously, they've now got all of the good thinkers out there going, as soon as they see 33, they throw it out, even though it might be some good information.
Well, yeah, there's going to be, as far as information goes, that it's only as good as...
Hang on. You're listening to Bongversations with Dave and Rick.
Bongversation.
No matter what your age.
You're listening to Conversation
or your affiliation
on truthmeets.com.
Let yourself engage.
And now, back to the conversation.
In the art of conversation.
Dave's got. You're listening to DaveJ and Rick Esoteric on the Sunday the 11th. Is it the 11th or the? Yeah, it's the 11th today. What a coincidence!
You're a time traveler. It's the 10th.
Oh, for you.
For you.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how I can be in the future talking to you, going back in time to the 10th? Very interesting. So that's that, which is number 1, and we're on number 2. By coincidence, we're talking about number 2. Yeah. All right, keep talking about the 2. The 2.
Oh well, yeah. It's the second point along the train. You know, it's the idea of it's the point of concern, CON, So if you broke that word up, con and cern, you notice that cern is the idea of light. It's been shown to you falsely through this idea of the CERN accelerator, blah blah blah.
Collider in Switzerland.
Yeah, the collider, that idea. Now, what is true is that when you smash light into a barrier, you're going to wavelengths are going to be created. Within all sine waves or wavelengths, there is data or information. That's a fact. Therefore, so then it's not the idea of opening like a physical portal, anything like that. It's the idea of creating ideas. All right, because within the light is the idea. So therefore, if you bounce material off different substrates, different metals, this, that, and the other thing, you're going to get different absorption rates, as well as different kind of refraction.
You mentioned kaleidoscope before. Is that the kind of you're talking about that kind of?
Well, a kaleidoscope is you either have a clean plate of glass, which is the truth, it's perfectly clear, or it's smashed into a 1,000 pieces.
Incredible, beautiful patterns. Beautiful patterns and colors. Yeah.
And then so that gets you. That's kind of like this idea of this visual trap, and then you go chasing all those different rabbit holes or veins. All right, the idea, because you can picture that broken glass, and then that's also the idea then that any one or any piece. And I talked about this in the 47th problem video I did, which is that's a Masonic idea of the 47th problem of Iliad, and it's the idea of how then you balance on the the tip of a pin, basically, or a needle. How do you balance two balls on the tip of a needle? Quite literally is what I'm telling you. But the balls are they're cubes. So if you wanted to watch that, it's the 47th problem video. But the takeaway from that is that there's two spaces that have three sides to them each, which is why the 33 is a Masonic idea, because the 33 is the idea of the gaps that hold the system together.
Would the
That's why
33
they call themselves Masons, because they're building the idea of the reason that these laws or regulations need to be put into place is because it's a reaction to this event that happened. However, the event that happened was staged by the same folks that are putting in the rules and laws, and those people are not, and they're being manipulated spiritually through the spirit of Satan or the fallen or the prince of the air or the god of this world.
Isn't it interesting? Geometrical shapes. You get the two circles. You put them together and they form the third, the Vesica Pisces in the center, which is the creation, the shape of the vulva of the vagina, the shape of all the church. When you go to
do you notice that third space is actually imaginary, because you still you have the two circles, let's say, and if you made those straight, it'd be two lines. So let's start with two. Let's then bend those two circles, and now you put them together. So that gap or that area of concern that you were talking about,
would that be 33% of the?
It's actually imaginary, and it can be manipulated by pushing one side in or the other side in. That becomes the idea of the pupil. Or
it's the same shape.
Yeah, or the regulator of the system. Therefore, if they get you, it's also the shape of like the MasterCard or credit. So then once your mind is brought
exactly. I hadn't even noticed that. That's 100% there, Dave.
Yeah. So once you bring that into once you bring that into your mind, that thing's going to keep sliding, and you're going to be.
There's no coincidence.
Credit.
There's no coincidence that that's the logo for MasterCard. That you've got this Vesica Pisces, two circles going in with one. Fantastic. This is good stuff, Dave. You plenty more to talk about. Twos though. That's the duality too, which is two. Everything that has originated from the tree of knowledge carries with it duality. Zohar, mystical Jewish text. Zohar. Right. Interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then also the idea of the one is, I wanted to mention, because we didn't mention the color kind of combination. Red I associate with one because that's the idea of concern. It's also the color of blood. So it's like also the idea of skin in the game.
Mm.
So if you have that's an American expression, it's skin in the game.
Skin in the game, yep.
That you have a reason to be there. You're not just skin
in the game.
Then two, you're going to deal with the idea of green with envy, the idea of green or yellow, really, because there's four colors that need to be dispersed among the first 1, 2, and 3. So with two, it deals with green and yellow, which together make limelight, or the idea of the limelight that you're going to exist in.
Well, and isn't that the term? That's a term for this world stage. This giant movie prediction. You're in the limelight. See, another piece of the jigsaw puzzle just went into my head. Fantastic.
So you'll be living in the limelight. The universal dream.
Isn't it fantastic?
The idea of all the world's a stage. It's that limelight. So then that is the 1, 2, 3. It all happens quite quickly, but then that becomes the light you then get attracted to. Also, remember, limelight's shown in news as it will be shown as jade, or in the story it will be spelled out jade, Jade, or it'll show you jade as far as jewelry or something to do with a jade.
What about when we saw the footage of lives from CNN, particularly when the first Gulf War happened? Everything was in limelight. It was all night vision, allegedly.
Night vision.
It was all green though. It was in limelight.
And it was a presented play for those who wanted to be part of that world. That was their limelight. They fell in love with. And then it's like they high-fived each other and slapped each other on the back. Yeah, man, we did it. We went out there, we did it.
Yes. Were you?
Pass me another six-pack.
Did you manage to? You were in the Navy,
I was in the Navy. Yeah.
Navy. Were you in between the Gulf War I and Gulf War II service?
Yeah, I was over at the second. I was over the second one, so I did, and that's where I told you I had my
epiphany.
I saw the truth right in front of me. I couldn't miss it, and that was during an interaction with an Iranian so-called ship, which I was on board because we flew in on a helicopter, and you do what's called a fast line down a rope.
Right.
So
Yep.
Yeah, it's fast line of rappelling. We rappelled down onto this boat. Yeah, we then took command of the ship. It was a smaller craft. The crew was less than 10, and then we had 10 of our guys too. So it was kind of crowded. So then we got off. We did that. We took them down to the United Arab Emirates, which was it was close to 3 days journey. Because there's a lot of oil out to sea oil rigs out in the Gulf, which really aren't shown a lot when they show you that on news.
I bet they're not.
There's a lot of oil rigs out there, man.
Yeah.
A ton of them. So yeah, they were getting annoyed that we had a destroyer who was following us or shadowing us, and they were staying way out. And what my job was to run the con, which is to tell the guy which way to steer, basically. So I was doing like S turns through the oil derricks, and the guy from the destroyers, he's calling on the radio, just going crazy. He's like, "You guys need to stop that. You need to stop horsing around." So that was funny, man. Because it was a lot smaller. So anyways, we drop them off down there, and then the captain, who looked like an Iranian Joe Pesci. That's exactly what he looked like, man. He was, and he played the role kind of like the first time when we first took it over. He was pretending to be mad, but it's like after that he was just chilling.
You think I'm funny? You think I'm funny?
Hey, what are you trying to do? You trying to take my ship? What do you think this is? So I'm like, so we drop it off, and then the guy's glad handing the so-called cop. They're both in nice. They're going out obviously because they're in their white dress robes, and they're glad handing each other and kind of arm in arm walk down the pier. So the way that the business worked for him was he could make a lot more money by just allowing his ship to be taken over, quote unquote, than it would have, delivering nasty old dates. Because that's what he usually delivered was dates, the fruit.
Yeah, huge industry out of Iran. Guaranteed, be told, 100. Huge industry, the old date industry.
So what happened? Yeah. So what happened was with him, his dates were ruined with seawater leaks. So he had to offload all that stuff. So that's an opportunity right there. And so you have to offload all that junk, and then you can also volunteer your services to the U.S. Navy, and then you don't lose anything, So he made out on the deal.
Fantastic. We'll get back to the number two, or if you've, sure. Because honestly, just looking at the imagery of two, it's such a powerful thing. But two becomes three, obviously, when you cross the two circles. You form the Vesica Pisces, and that is would Vesica Pisces would that be 33% of the two?
No, because that it's different, because it's kind of, you see it normally shown to you in a certain way, but what I was telling you earlier is that's adjustable, meaning that if you push it in and out, that center
it can be different. That's right, cool.
So it's kind of it's different. But I would like to say this about the what was I going to tell you about that? You asked me about the two. It's like you were kind of almost there already to go to the three.
Well, when I was saying, when you push the two together, you form that circle.
Yeah. I was going to say too. If you draw the two that you normally would in a normal way, it's kind of the curved line inwards and then the line along the bottom. If you go ahead and then mirror that, you make a three. Do you see that?
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
You sure do. So then and then if you mirror that against itself, you get an 8.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, let's see,
So
all
that
the numbers are
yeah,
obviously joined together. You're right, 2 3s
right,
become the 8, the
right.
33. And I'll just mention this, the latest Ford trucks,
Uh-huh.
their rear vision, not rear vision, their rear lights at night time
Right.
are the 33. One 3 on one side and the reverse that would form the 8 if you brought them together.
Right,
And that's
absolutely.
no coincidence. That's no coincidence that they're using these subconscious imagery as you're driving behind cars at night time. You're seeing the 33 or the 8 as it becomes.
Right, and then
Yeah.
the 8 can really be looked at 2 different ways. You can see it as 2 circles kind of just butt together, making the illusion of 8, but it's really more the idea of a continuous circle. So that if you
Yes.
unfolded it, it would just be 1 circle or 1
Which is
zero.
and that's eternal, eternity
Yeah,
logo.
and then if you broke that and laid it flat, it'd look like a single line. So you see how the 1 0, it's all in there. Each time you can see the other numbers always in together. You just have to look at a 2 a certain way and you see the 3. If you look at the 3 a certain way, you see the 8. So then, yeah. And
You
then
don't-
you notice
so-
that 8
so
plus 3 is 11.
But we're not none of this is taught at school.
10,
Dave.
sorry about
10, yeah. None of this is taught at school, or
Right. that. So the IO idea, the 10 idea. Yeah.
The 10 idea, yeah. And IO is, what's it called? 1 plus O plus O. Yeah, it's the computer language. Is it binary or what's it called? The 1 plus O plus 1 plus O plus 1 plus O in eternity. Which is that?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I want to go back to what I said. I don't want to leave you with the wrong impression.
Okay.
8 plus 3 is 11, just so you know.
Coincidence?
So anyways, that's the 2. That's the one, the 2 ones together, and then the 2. So that brings you back into the 2 as well. So did you see how you could take the 2, mirror it, see the 3, do that, get the 8, combine those back together to the 11, which is the 2. So it all kind of wraps back together.
Fantastic. It's coincidence
man.
it is the 11th today, or for me anyway, that I'm talking to you finally.
Yeah.
And no coincidence. No coincidence, I would say. No coincidence.
No coincidence.
So what is your view of the jumping ahead slightly, but the rotation of a record and giving it being 33 and a third speed, the speed on to play a record. Is this part of a one thing, or is it more of a, why is it?
Well, everything's a reflection of its maker. So, if you have the Prince of the Air, and then all of that is a manifestation of what's called Satan, or that power, then it's going to reflect its own nature. It can't reflect something else. So then in order for it to work it's going to reflect itself. So it's just kind of like, it
so
reflects
33 and 1/3 is basically is a 9 as well, would it be? If you got 33 and a third, that forms a 9, or you've got the 8 with the 33, which I didn't even think of that. It is encoding an 8. Or thereabouts. Symbology wise, fantastic, great information.
Well, you also have, if you write 33 and 1/3, if you just add up all the numbers, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1, that's your IO, or 1 0.
Okay, IO.
Yeah, you see, so it's your 10. It's the right. But I always combine 10 with IO because it means the same thing. It means that's the complete consumption, and then that's really just that's the pill that you would then take, and that's either true or false, because as you consume that, it's going to then expand into you, because you're either going to spend time with it or you're going to dismiss it, one or the other.
This is what we're talking about here, or your discovery, or your the stuff that you know most about, is the creation of thought and its processes and its weaponry and its positivity in different ways, and it's extremely complex. Yeah, go.
Yeah, do you remember I did the video, the idea of let there be light, and then the idea of the eternal flame? So what I did was I did a
Oh
I did a
yes,
physics-
yes,
I
and
did
you
a,
made it,
yeah,
and you made a flame. I remember that.
yeah,
That was one of the most.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really impressive.
and it would have gone. It would have gone until that computer was unplugged at some point. It would have gone
Isn't it amazing?
till the end of time.
Can you
Yeah,
explain? Do
because
you want to explain that to the audience out there? What you did and how you did it?
oh yeah, for sure. So what you have is you have the idea of let there be light. All right. So then let there be light. Then what is that light? That's the idea or the one which became the truth. So then you have the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you see 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is your idea of 10 or your IO. So what I did was I showed that if I put that into motion, let there be light, and I did it in a physics generator. And I'll leave the link to where Joel can put it with the video.
Yeah, put anything in show notes, Dave. There's the show notes above. Yeah.
And you'll see once it goes into motion, that it stays in motion because it's the eternal flame. It's the idea of what I did was I produced that idea of Genesis 1, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. So I just produced that in a physics generator as physical proof of that statement's power. That's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, and it's a flickering light, like a flickering candle.
You can also see when I expand it, that it looks like it's an actual almost it's like it's a flower really, and so yeah,
it's a tulip. It's a tulip shape. Yeah.
So once you see it, it's you'll have a better understanding. So I'll leave that link for anyone who's listening who wants to see it. It's not a long video, so you'll get the point quite quickly.
Yeah, fantastic. So you lost a lot of your stuff over the years. Oh, you're listening to Rick and Dave after the break.
No matter what you say,
You're listening to Conversation
or your preoccupation,
on truthmeets.com.
you can practice every day.
And now, back to the conversation.
The art of conversation.
You're listening to
Conversation.
Bongversations with Dave J and Esoteric. Be told 100%. Just also, we're talking about the number 2 becoming 3, but when you form this, the 2 circles and you form it together and you get the eye shape, as you just pointed out, and it's also the vulva shape, the vesica piscis, right, is the birth of the triangle. Isn't it? You get there's the birth of the line, and if you run the 2 lines up to the vesica piscis, you get a perfect pyramid. Right. It's just incredibly powerful, the circle, how you can do all of geometry. Just let's look at nature. I mean, I can't stand atheists, Dave. I have to say that people that can't see the beauty in nature and the mathematical, incredible mathematical things in nature, and I have to mention this book, which I've been picking up and reading for many years, by Michael S. Schneider, The Beginner's Guide to Constructing the Universe, the Mathematical Archetypes of Nature, Art and Science. If you can read this book and still say there's no creation, you are absolutely not worth talking about. It's just, I'm sorry, nothing can be more. It's cleverly constructed geometrical patterns everywhere you walk. Once you start seeing them, flowers, you just mentioned the tulip before, the flame, and it's everywhere. And unfortunately, it's so complex that the average man can't see it anymore. They've lost their connection with nature through, I blame the TV and its 180p, right, the vibration. That's 100% one of the nastiest inventions on the planet for dumbing us down, plus the food, plus the water, plus the air.
Deplane.
Yeah, but anyway, sorry, I interrupt. But we're going through.
I kind of just I wanted to say this, Rick. It's like we'll go ahead and end it here as far as the numbers, because too much of this people just
it's fantastic. Yeah, it's a good suggestion because it will baffle people.
But what I will say, so that people, because somebody's wondering right now, someone in the audience is wondering right now, what is the point? So the point is that if you recognize this system I'm telling you about, that none of these stories, none of the so-called news, nothing you run into in the so-called world will have any power over you, because you will see the framework of the system, and you will see, knowing the intent of the caster, what that product is. And if it's a liar, a deceit, just dismiss it just completely, and then you're going to start saving a lot of time. So what that means is with all that saved time, you can actually go out and observe and start to get true inputs, which is true living water, and those foundations which you can then spread and pass to the next generation, instead of the generational curse of the lies, which have been prevalent for most.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to make sure that. We can get back the next time on 3 and 4.
Look, I only wanted to do one, but we got to 2, which is fantastic. We got till whenever to do up till 9, but there's always things you miss out on, or whatever. We can change the subject, whatever. But fantastic. Now, do you want to discuss? I was mentioning, your second to none knowledge of various smoking and relaxing. Yeah, the relaxing products, You had a whole series of videos back, or YouTubes back in the day, I should say videos. And I did see a number of them about different, you were creating waxes, I do believe.
Yes.
And you were recommending that everyone's, that these different strains suit different people. So say something for relaxing the people that, that confused in life, or whatever, and rather than go on to antidepressants.
Well, when I was doing my bud business, I would have somebody would say, "Oh, I was noticing your cannabis menu," and they would describe to me what was going on, and I would say, "Well, listen, I'll bring over this, that, and the other thing." So let's say you have you have 2 main differences between cannabis products. You have indica and sativas. One being, your sativa would be more of your head high, your indica being more your body high. So then but that doesn't necessarily, because remember, everything's a cycle, so it's a circle. So that doesn't necessarily mean just because you're maybe you're maybe hyperactive, that doesn't mean that you necessarily would just want to try an indica. You'd want to try both. You'd want to see which one actually mellows you out, because the sativa might actually put you over to the top to where you're actually relaxed. It sounds different, but sometimes that works. So I try it for the first couple times, and what I would do is I'd bring over whatever they ordered, and I'd bring over a couple little samples, and I'd say, "Why don't we try these real quick?" And they'll break out a pipe, try them out, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this, that, the other thing." So I say, next time, because I'd leave them the little sample. I say, next time you try these, and you order which one actually works the best for you. And then that's how I would do it with those 2 because most people knew what they wanted. They weren't into, they just wanted the bag. But those that wanted that extra help, I showed them how to do it. I would also show people how to use their new bongs. if they had a new bong, how do you work this thing? I said, well, let me show you. And especially when oils came out and waxes, most people didn't know how to use it. It's fiber. They just didn't know how to use it. So I would have to show them how to do it, because I would.
Can you describe what is a wax? What is a wax?
Oh, okay.
For those people out there that would have no idea what we're talking about.
So if you
rolls a joint.
So you can really do it with trim. Which trim is what most people use, but to really get a nice product, you use complete bud flower, like the real nice bud flower. Yep. Anyways, you'd use, what my method was, that I would grind it up and I'd let it dry slightly. I'd let it dry for about half a day or so. The reason being is I want as much of the trichomes to be knocked off during the butane process as possible. So then I would go ahead and load those into a PVC pipe. All right. On one end, you have a coffee filter, which is duct taped on. On the other end, you just have a cap, and you drill a small hole, which is just the size of the butane tip. All right. What you do is, and then you have a glass, a Pyrex tray underneath, and you start to run that butane through that pipe, that PVC pipe. It's going to start to get cold, so wear a glove. Anyways, you're going to start to see the ice just start to draw down the PVC tube, and then all of a sudden you're going to see a yellow, dark yellow honey-looking liquid come out, which is the butane, but it's also got all your trichomes or your THC, CBD, whatever's in there. It's going to be coming out with it. So all that comes into the Pyrex dish. Once you start to see the butane start to run clear, meaning that it just looks like clear liquid coming out, you're done. That you've expended what you can get it out of that flour. Remind me to tell you what you can do with that flour next, though. It's not done.
Is this alchemy, Dave, would you say, or is this a different form of chemical? Would this just be just,
Yeah, I mean, you could describe it that way. I'm sure.
Sounds like it to me.
So then what happens is now you have this butane with all the suspended THC in it. And what you have to do is you have to boil that off. So what my best method was, I would put it onto a fish mat, like a fish tank mat, where you put, it's a small pad that you put under a fish tank, which slightly warms it, but just a very... Anyways, I'd put that underneath the Pyrex dish, and then once it got up to it'd just boil. It'd boil off, and then it'd start to bubble and look almost like caramel. Once it starts to look like caramel, you take I used a screwdriver, a Phillips tip. You can use really anything you want. And then you scrape it back and forth, and that allows the butane to escape. And what happens is the more you do that, or the faster you do that, the more it will stay up or lift, and you'll get more of a crumble or of a drier wax. If you let it kind of sit and air dry in its flat form, you're going to have more of what's kind of like a taffy almost, or kind of like what's called honey oil. Honey oil is the basic extraction. So honey oil is something you can dip on flour. That's so good. But that's the fire. A dip on that on, let's say, a bowl, and that's some good stuff. It's called concentrate. Because for a pound,
how do you know a dose though? Is it because you can't overdose on that stuff, but you can.
I need to send you a video. I have a video of that I did in early 2000 something or other, and I have my whole table is full of bongs. And I'm going over that. I'm going over that same exact question, actually.
What you do realise, Dave,
I'm
sure you do.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do realise that today you've got Mike Tyson and people like that are, exclusively marketing all of these things, and they're making millions and millions and millions of dollars out of this kind of stuff. That it's scientific. It's a lot more mainstream than it was when you were doing it back in the day.
Yeah. I was doing it in my backyard, man. So it's like, this stuff I was putting together, because I was using vacuum chambers and things like that. I was using some techniques.
It sounds like the Cheech and Chong episode, Nice Dreams, when they had that giant pretend swimming pool. Remember that episode? and they had a big factory underneath it making exactly what you're talking about. Exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, so let me finish real quick the process. Where do we get to? So once you have honey oil and once you've extracted the butane out, you can go with that. But the easiest way is to whip it, like I told you, whip it real good.
Good. And then Devo.
If you whip it real good. It becomes aerated. And
how do you whip something like that though? I mean, do you have that much of it to put it in a blender or?
No. Well, I'm shooting a pound of bud material, at least. Right. Wow. Sometimes 5 or 10 pounds of bud material.
Whoa.
So you're dealing with a lot of honey oil. But the process. So imagine that I'm whipping it, and the butane in the honey oil is up and escaping or lifting. It lifts the raw honey oil up, and it creates air cavities. Now, if I can keep those air cavities open and allow the honey oil to set to where it won't collapse again, then those chambers that had the butane in will be clear, and it'll just be like hollow chambers. It'll be the lightest, fluffiest, and it'll literally look like candle wax. I also made ones, or I made some that would look like cookies, like little cookies that you could hold in your hand and you could break a piece off.
Fantastic.
So, oh yeah, so that, and I did those.
It's extremely effective way of taking a sedative or to relax you. It's rather than smoking. I think I way prefer the eating of things.
Well, here's the thing about that wax too, which makes it really nice, is a lot of people will use bud material to make butter, to make cooking butter.
Oh yeah,
and,
yep.
And it turns it green and it
That's
stinks. Right. But here's the thing: if you use the wax, the butter stays the same yellow, perfect quality, and it has a nice golden sheen to it. And you
could fool your granny. You could get your granny stoned. She wouldn't even know. She'd be spreading it on her scones.
Yeah,
on her cookies.
Yeah, and she would say, "Can you, Sonny boy? Can you visit me again tomorrow? Can you bring me
that stuff?"
Yeah, that was very golden and delicious. Yeah, because it has like a sheen to it. Oh, it's so good.
Back in our ancestral days, Dave, the hemp or the cannabis was growing wild all through most areas, and the cows were eating it, and the milk was way healthier back then, because it was a very staple part of our. Now it's been demonized, using that term, demonized.
Yeah. Well, demon's nothing more than a lie believed on.
Oh, there you go. It's a lie.
Yeah,
they've lied about one of the most perfect plants on the planet that's been
Plain. Be blamed.
Oh, fantastic! Did you
me
finish
tell you
your thing? Yep, go.
I will tell you I'm pretty much through. I mean, if somebody wanted to ask me more, I can.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I could tell.
If anyone wants now, truthmeats.com, questions for Dave, or questions for me to ask Dave, just send them into truthmeats.com. Go into there and go to live stream show notes or stream show notes and put a question in. And we will discuss it the next time. And this time suits me perfectly, DaveJ. This time, perfect. I don't know how it suits you, but
it suits me perfect.
It's 3:56 in the wonderful mid-north coast of Australia, and I can talk and chat. It's usually nothing to do this time of day. So a little discussion with you. And through the week, I'll remember more things that I want to ask you. But next week we'll do 3 and 4, and then we'll discuss some more recipes. More recipes. So we might. Is
that Rick on the phone?
Oh,
hey, Papa, that's Rick on the phone.
Oh, hey Rick, what's new, man?
Oh, that's Papa saying hi.
Hi, Papa. I'm flattered to get to talk to you.
Yeah, that's funny, man. Because I was thinking you need to do a Hindu now version of the Klaus Schwab because of the Indian takeover and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm going to. It's getting there because poor old Klaus Schwab. See, I'm unemployed. I'm sitting here looking for some. I'm going through the unemployment guide to write up for my unemployment pension. I'm so sad, Dave.
I can barely afford a Slurpee. Hey, you said Slurpee? We don't sell Slurpees, sir. We sell Slurpees only.
No. Meat or vegetable? Meat or vegetable? There's definitely a. I've got to do that. I'll come up with a new character. But anyway, on that note, we'll sign off and. Sure. On Bongversation number 1, Bongversation hits from the bong.
Hits from the bong.
And I liked the other thing. Roll with it is another good term.
Let's roll with it.
Let's roll with it. Yeah, that was a good.
And then you can, if Joel wanted to, he can
add a song. If he wanted to add your song,
can add the fly away live version at the end.
So I'll just
great lead.
I'll message him that. Or he might be able to listen to this and he might be able to add it. So there's no hurry for him to do this. But
nope.
It's got a little bit more. He just needs to put a song at the beginning and a song at the end, and we fill in the rest. And he's already got the breaks and bumpers and everything. So DaveJ, number 1, fantastic. Number 2, fantastic. And we'll get to 3 and 4 next week. And a pleasure to discuss with you. Go back in the green room. We'll have a conversation before I take off. Fantastic. We're signing out now with the band it's Fly Away.